167. One of those no votes came from Congressman Peter Welch, Democrat from Vermont and a member of the Committee on Oversight and Reform. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Why did you vote no, and why did you allow the Speaker, Mr. Boehner, to appear as the man who was kind of partisan and non-partisan and drawing everybody together?
Well, the good news is that the government is continuing to function, but there were two reasons that I voted no. Number one, there were cuts in that bill that really are going to hurt job creation in Vermont. High-speed rail, this is very important in Vermont, the deployment of broadband. These are things that Republican and Democratic governors have supported in Vermont and are going to help us build a future. The second problem I have with the bill is that it wasn't balanced. All of the cuts are coming out of what's called the discretionary budget. That's 12% of the budget. And what we have to do if we're going to be successful to restore fiscal balance is put everything on the table. You know, the Pentagon got more money, not less. The oil companies continue to get tax breaks. That comes out of taxpayer dollars. And obviously, we have to look at the Internal Revenue Code. So everything should be on the table in order for us to be successful. This was not.
But, Mr. Welch, I thought the understanding was that here was a continuing budget resolution that took us to September. Once we got through Friday, then all of these things would be on the table. That's what the President said. So, actually, you still didn't go with what the President wanted. You voted against.
No, I didn't. I thought, in my view, on this bill, the compromise that was reached, the good news is it keeps government going. The bad news is that it's setting a pattern where the focus is largely on the domestic side, as opposed to looking at everything. And by the way, going forward, the Ryan budget, which is what the Republican majority in the House is going to push, I don't have any problem with what they have on the table, including entitlement reform, incidentally. My problem is what they have off the table. If you have the Pentagon off the table, tax expenditures off the table, you have revenues off the table, getting to fiscal stability is going to be all but impossible.
These fights are coming thick and fast. On the subject of the debt ceiling, you'd like a clean vote, and I think you said yourself, we cannot play this kamikaze politics that can lead to an economic Chernobyl. We have to pay our bills. Strong words, but do you actually believe the ceiling will be raised?
Well, it has to be raised. It's a question of how much damage we'll do in the process of ultimately raising it so that we can meet our obligations. This is going to be very consequential. And the question for all of us in Congress is whether this debt ceiling vote is something that is a leverage moment, as Mr. Cantor says, or a moment for moral obligation to pay our bills. You know, Americans pay their bills. We always have and always will. And this is a politically undesirable vote to make. But this is something that we absolutely have to do. And there's some misunderstanding in the public. Voting to increase the debt ceiling is about honoring past obligations already incurred. It's not about authorizing new spending.
But you spoke earlier about Vermont and the voters in your constituency. Are they growing increasingly frustrated with this back and forth, the rhetoric we're hearing on taxes and so on? I mean, we've heard all of this back in December. Are your own constituents, do you think, becoming wearied by this?
Yes, they are. I mean, this is a very serious situation we have in Congress, because this institution works for the American people, and we have to make decisions. And we know that there's a lot of truth on the side of those who say we got to spend less. I mean, the Republicans ran on that, they won on it, they've got some merit in that argument. But there are obviously other things that have to be on the table to be successful, and that's what I'm trying to inject into this debate. I mean, can we really ask taxpayers to subsidize ethanol? Can we really ask taxpayers to subsidize at $55 billion? Very profitable, mature industry, the oil industry. That's money out of your pocket. So everything's got to be on the table and we can be successful.
Absolutely, and we'll come to those no doubt into the future. Congressman Peter Welch of Vermont, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And coming up, Victor Conti, the godfather of steroids, joins us exclusively